Okay guys, so welcome to the solo and questing part of this video. I hope you guys like my... yeah, I know, my shoe engineer looks like crap. This is blue crafted gear from Armor Smiths, and the weapon is from a Veteran Adventure. I mean, it gives me the stats, so, you know, it looks like crap, but, you know, don't worry about it. It won't matter anyway. You can use costumes. Okay, but the build I'm about to show you is the build that I hit 50 with, and it's pretty much the same build. I mean, there's a few amps that I didn't really have, but I'll get to that when we get to amps. And for soloing, like doing dailies and such, I use a slight variation, and I'll show you that as well. But we're going to head straight into this, and we're going to go straight to our spender ability. As you know, we build and spend volatility, and we use electrocute to spend volatility. Now this is like the best AoE ability we currently have. We do have a different ability called Mortar Strike, which is instant, has no cooldown, does AoE damage, but holy shit is it expensive. It's like 50 volatility for one Mortar Strike. Now they actually buffed this ability, but still nowhere near as good as Electrocute. Granted, you need to upgrade Electrocute. Every single tier upgrades your damage done, and you need tier 4 on this one. Tier 4 gives you a buff called Empower. Basically, whenever you attack and hit something, obviously, deal damage with Electrocute, you will gain this buff, which increases your technology damage done by 2.5%, and it stacks up to 6 times. This buff, you're going to have it like whenever you're AoEing, and I mean, you're going to have it constantly pretty much. You don't really have to worry about it. And for single target, we have a completely different spec, but we'll get to that when we get to raids. This is the main spender. It's the main ability for AoE, and it's ridiculous if you upgrade it and use it on several mobs. It's just really fun. So the next ability is Quick Burst, and Quick Burst is a baseline ability in this case, and the reason for this is because we can spend these points on other abilities to do more damage. I mean, it's just not worth spending points in Quick Burst. The baseline ability is actually really good. If Quick Burst crits, it can deal pretty high damage, which is really cool. Now, why do we have Quick Burst in the first place? Well, it's instant. First of all, it has a pretty short cooldown of 7 seconds. You can only use it after landing a critical hit, which doesn't really matter because as an engineer DPS you crit pretty much all the time, or you should. If you're not, then something's wrong pretty much. And what's really cool is that you can use Quick Burst while casting. So if you're AoEing a pack with Electrocute, you crit, it will light up, and you're like, use it instantly, because even if you're casting Electrocute, you can just spam Quick Burst anyway, which is really nice. So Quick Burst off cooldown every single time, and you should be able to use it straight off cooldown, because if you're playing your engineer correctly in the right way, pretty much you'll get crits and more crits and more crits. So on to our first pet or bot, whatever you want to call it. This is the artillery bot, and it's upgraded for, I mean, the bot does decent damage, you know. Upgraded, it does really nice damage, and I mean, when you're raiding, it's not optional. You want artillery bot. Now, you need tier 4 on this one, and I say need because you and your artillery bot gain a buff which increases your critical hit chance by 6.5%. This is an aura or a buff or whatever that you will always have when your artillery bot is out, when you're actually using him or you have him out. He's just standing AFK or attacking something that you don't want him to attack. yeah, we'll get to that. Artillery bot is really good, especially when you use this ability to like bombard one area. It can do some decent damage, and the buff is just ridiculous, pretty much. So on to Energy Auger, and this is the opener for like the rotation, or like how I open, pretty much. Early on in the game, well, the first ability you have is Pulse Blast, but when I get Energy Auger, I remove Pulse Blast completely. Now, Pulse Blast, it does have a larger range, but Energy Auger builds up and then leaves a dot, and I mean, it just does, it feels like it does more damage, and you get like pretty nice volatility from it. So I really like Energy Auger, and it's a pretty cool animation as well. Now for I mean, like in this build, this one is like fully upgraded, as you can see, but I just don't really feel like it's doing that much damage. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like it does decent damage, but not like ridiculous amounts of damage, like electrocute or whatever. And the dot that it leaves on the ground, it works, you know, but you need to be aware of, like, do I need to use this dot? Then I need to position myself properly, or like have, if your bot is tanking, then I mean, it's just, you need to make sure you're using it properly, or you might as well just fuck it, go with Pulse Blast, really. Yeah, but you know, you can use Pulse Blast. I mean, go ahead. I mean, use Pulse Blast if you like Pulse Blast, but I go with Energy Auger. And well, as you can see, it's upgraded fully. We have tier 4 upgrade on it, which basically it will do more damage. It's another dot, pretty much, but this dot is actually on the target, and it's not in part of the telegraph. So the last ability is ridiculous, and it's Bioshell. Now, Bioshell is yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's a really cool ability that does nice damage, really nice damage, but it applies a debuff that is, I mean, it just allows you to do like even more damage, pretty much. And as you can see, it's fully upgraded. It's because it will do more damage, and the debuff gets strong as well, which is pretty cool. Tier 4 on Bioshell is required. Now, normally, as you can see, Bioshell has a 2-second cast time, but the tier 4 upgrade will make it an instant cast whenever you're between 30 and 70 volatility. So like, I have an add-on that shows me, like, I told it, like, when I'm between 30 and 70 volatility and Bioshell is off cooldown, you tell me, because I'm going to use that ability. But I always make sure to be like between 30 and 70 when I'm like attacking and it's about to go off cooldown, so I can just use it instantly, pretty much like quick burst. Like quick burst off cooldown, Bioshell off cooldown. It's just go for it. So that's the assault abilities for this build, and we're going to go. We only have one support ability, but we only need one. This is the Bruiser bot, and its baseline ability. You don't really need to upgrade this bot. It's pretty strange. Like, even later on, like, he's not going to take much damage. I mean, yeah, he might die now and then to some attacks might do like shitloads of damage, but you know, he's not going to die 24/7 pretty much, unless you pull like 30 mobs at once. Now, Bruiser bot, it's a tank bot. That's it. I mean, you get an ability which will, he will leap in, do AoE damage and AoE taunt, and it's just, I mean, it's a really nice bot to have while leveling, and I think it's necessary to have like someone tanking so you can actually stay at range. Now, you will pull aggro, trust me, you will, because when you start critting way and way more, your bot cannot keep up with you, but it shouldn't be a problem, because since you're critting, you're going to be able to kill the enemies pretty quickly anyway, so you should be okay. And last but not least, we have two utility abilities, and the first one, both of which are baseline. The first one is Zap. It's done. It's a stun. That's it. It goes in a straight line. It will stun 5 foes. Destroys interrupt armor. Not that important, from what I found out while leveling. But it's really good. Like when you pull way too many mobs, you pull 10 mobs, you can just stun all of them in one when they're like in a line or sort of a line. So you can pull them further away, and then when they're following you, just zap them, and you can finish them off pretty quickly. So it's really useful. It might be like one of those, oh holy shit, I need to like just run away, or I need to buy some time. Just go with Zap. That's pretty much it. And the last one is Volatile Injection, and this, just like Quick Burst and Bioshell, I use this off cooldown. And the reason for this is because it's so good. It's just ridiculous. Like while leveling, I use this all the time, and now max level, I use it all the time. I mean, of course I'm going to use it all the time, because when you use it, you get 2 buffs. 2 buffs for 10 seconds. You get a defensive one and one called Empower. Now defense will deflect like any critical hit, like by a lower amount, so like they can't crit you. Like it's like a 10% low chance to crit pretty much, and in PvP that would be pretty ridiculous. Like a really good ability, I would say, in PvP, but we'll get to that in a different video. But more importantly, Empower, 10% more crit. I mean, I'm not kidding when I'm saying you're going to crit when you're DPSing as an engineer. That's, I mean, you're going to crit. And now when we're doing like veteran stuff, we have a medic with an aura that gives us 6%. So I have like 12.5% passive crit. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's so much fun, especially when you're AoEing. So, by the way, if you're wondering what path I have, well, I'm a settler, so now you know. I haven't leveled it because leveling up to 50 was more important. Anyway, so that's the abilities, assault, support, and utility that I use. And as for amps, yeah, these are the amps that I use. Now, I did not have any of these rank 2. I think I had volatility rising like pretty late, like later on while leveling, but that was pretty much it. I think harmful hits might have been towards the end as well, but like the other ones, like both shrapnel and explosive, I just did not have them. Yeah, reckless dash, I did not have them. But what I went with was like, I think I went with full assault power, and then like crit and then assault power, just to get more damage out. And then just, yeah, this is what I had with the few exceptions in my amp slots when I hit 50. So yeah, that's the abilities and amps that I used while leveling. Now, as for soloing, like dailies and such, the only thing I change, now I don't have all the amps here that I want, by the way, so don't worry about that. I'm missing 2 amps. Okay guys, so I just want to show you briefly the build that I use for soloing, like when I do dailies and such, and it's just some minor changes really. What I do is I remove these points in energy auger like this, and I put a few points into full electrocute, like fully upgraded, and the last few points into artillery bot, and those are the only changes I actually make. Now that's it for soloing and questing. I will show you one clip just to show you what I do when I, pull and kill daily mobs for daily quests and all that, and then we'll continue onwards to veteran adventures and dungeons. Hey guys, and welcome to a short solo video just to show you like how it works, the build. And I'm in Crimson Badlands, which is like the zone you're in, a pretty tiny zone actually, and this is where you do all your daily quests. Now I'm just gonna show you what I do. You know, always have your bots out, obviously artillery bot, bruiser bot. I open up with energy auger. I send out my bots, both of them. I use volatile injection, instant bioshell, electrocute, and use quick burst whenever it procs, just as soon as possible. So I just okay, you can see I actually went to 71 volatility just as I used my bioshell, so I actually had a cast time that time around. Yeah, you can ignore my notifications because I haven't actually moved any of them. I'm going to fix that eventually. So yeah, that's it. Open with energy auger, bots, instant bioshell, volatile injection, electrocute, and quick burst whenever it's up. And then now I could use bioshell again, electrocute, quick burst, just keep it going. And if you need even more like damage or help, whatever, you can send your bots once again. So that's how this build works, and we're going to go to the next part right now of this video, which is the part with veteran content, you know, veteran dungeons and adventures. So let's get to it, shall we?